In need of a quick pick-me-up? You're in luck. Today on Made for the Outdoors, we're brewing up a beverage that'll satisfy your caffeine craving. And with every sip, give back to the community.
People are passionate about outdoor equipment. Get this. Americans spend more than $20 billion a year on gear. But no one ever really sees how their stuff gets made.
Well, that's where we come in. Each week, we throw open the factory doors and give you a behind-the-scenes look at how your favorite gear is made.
Made for the Outdoors is brought to you by Border View Lodge.
Whether it's out of the thermos while you're sitting in the duck blind or out of a mug while you're at the campsite, maybe it's just you at the kitchen table, there's no better way to start your day than a hot cup of coffee. But there might be more that goes into your morning cup of joe than you think. Today we're headed into Driven Coffee Roasters to see how Operator Coffee is made for the outdoors. Java, mud, brew, whatever you call it, coffee is one of the most popular beverages in the world. Globally, we pour about 1.4 billion cups each day. That's a lot of joe. Operator Coffee, based in Minnesota, saw an opportunity to not only hop on the coffee train, but to give back to those serving our communities.
Well, Operator Coffee was started to brew that coffee, to roast that coffee, and then to give back.
Don't let names like SWAT Commander, Patriot Brown, and Elite Blackout mislead you. Their definition of operator goes beyond the armed services.
Operator Coffee's mission is to benefit people in service to this country. Whether you are a operator in the military, a farmer, a first responder, a EMT, a police officer, our mission is to give back to those people and to have you guys have a nice cup of coffee in the morning.
A portion of every operator sale is donated to various nonprofits. With a focus on giving back, Operator Coffee needed to partner with a roasting company that was driven to do the same.
Operator Coffee chose Driven two simple things: quality and care. The quality that they have in their small batch roasting and the care that the people that are there put into it, they're able to distribute nationwide, yet they're able to roast a batch of coffee that tastes like it was roasted just for you. The people at Driven understand their craft better than anybody that I know.
When we met, we kind of discovered even more similarities in our mission, kind of wanting to give back to our communities, things like that. Our partner causes, both companies are very specific in giving back in that way.
For me, it's really the culture that we've created here. I love the product. I love the people and the story that you can tell through the product. But I just love being a part of a team that has like a common goal.
So the people that we work with at Driven are second to none. The people there treat you like family when you walk in the door.
I'd have to second that. Maybe it's just the caffeine, but the people at Driven not only treat you like family, but they are really excited. I want in on all the fun, so let's get brewing. But first, coffee beans.
I mean, it starts at origin with people that are growing crops on the sides of mountains, and they're hand-picking them at the peak freshness and peak ripeness for those different coffee cherries. They get shipped over here, and importers work with them and grade them again, and then we come into the process. And so then we go in and we get different samples from all over the world. We'll sample roast those and determine which ones have the flavor profile that we want.
Driven works closely with clients like Operator Coffee to ensure flavors are spot on.
We do cuppings with the operator group where they would taste all the different coffees at our suggested roast profiles, let us know if they had any changes.
Once they agree on the perfect profile, it's time to head into the roasting room. Courtney Aronson, head roaster and coffee aficionado, is going to walk us through the process. We've made it to the production area and we are ready to get roasting. Courtney here is going to show us how it's done. You ready to get started? Let's do it. All right, let's go. All right, see this big fancy machine. What's the first thing we have to do?
First thing we have to do when we're roasting is get our roasting machine up to temp. So we call it a charge temp. So I'm going to be roasting a dark coffee, and in order to do that, I'm going to start my machine at 420-ish degrees before I throw the beans in there. So I need to make sure that this roaster is getting hot enough, which right now it is. So next thing I'm going to quick go into is head into our software, and I'm going to pull up our recipe so it just shows what kind of roasting profile we're going to be tackling right now.
Did I mention that she's also a mad scientist?
When we're roasting a coffee, we save all of our roast profiles on our computer screen, so we've got a database that houses everything. We pull up the roast that we're about to do. We have a chart that is essentially our recipe for that we can overlay over our roast screen.
Well, this looks pretty fancy and sophisticated, so I'm just gonna let you do your thing.
Once a flavor profile is selected, the beans are scooped into the loader.
A day where I'm doing 16 batches or so, we always want to constantly be having beans up in the hopper so there's no lag time. This is called the loader.
While the machine preheats, a blower blasts the beans up into the hopper. Once the roaster reaches just the right temp, we're ready to drop the beans. Pull the lever, Courtney. We have a lot more work to do. Our Java journey continues when Made for the Outdoors returns.
Made for the Outdoors is brought to you by Borderview Lodge, Ice Castle Fish Houses, Aquarius Home Services, Car Arms, and by Keystone Light. Keystone Light, always smooth. Celebrate responsibly.
Welcome back to Made for the Outdoors. Craft coffee has taken the beverage world by storm. So what's it all about?
The definition of craft coffee is essentially a focus on the product itself, the quality of the coffee, right? So when you're roasting coffee, smaller batches give you more control over the variables of the roast, which ultimately it requires more expertise to roast in the smaller batches and to roast coffees lighter than darker.
We created a coffee that we felt comes from the love that goes into that small roast. It's not about quantity, it's about quality. Why they do things in that smaller capacity makes a massive difference in the quality of coffee.
Now that we've cleared that up, let's get back to the daily grind. With the machine preheated, our mindfully sourced beans have been loaded into the hopper and dropped into the drum for roasting.
Each batch takes typically 12 to 15 minutes to roast. So you put in 50 pounds. Because of moisture loss, you usually get out 40 to 42 pounds. So while we're roasting it, we're controlling the temperature and the time. So basic roast profile is looking at those variables, right? How long the roast is going on and where the temperature is at different points. So our roaster will plot every second a data point so that we can get an accurate representation of where that is versus a historical roast. So it kind of gives you a roadmap on how to do that.
Roasting time is what determines whether a batch is a light, medium, or dark roast. But it takes knowledge, skill, and I'm starting to think some sort of coffee superpower to ensure the roast is the exact same every time.
What I'm going to be showing you here is the trier. This is a kind of representation in sight and smell for the coffee. So as you're pulling it out, you can not only take a look at the beans, but you can smell it. It's just another gauge.
It's a lot of responsibility. I mean, people really like their coffee.
And it's something that we really care about too, because if a customer expects this one specific thing in their coffee one time, they're going to want that every single time, and we want that too.
I care about my coffee, so I appreciate that.
Oh yeah, me too.
Need my coffee.
Me too.
When Courtney's sixth sense tells her the roast is ready, it's time to drop the coffee.
Smells amazing. That was the most beautiful waterfall. Better than any waterfall I've ever seen.
This huge fan pulls room temperature air down through the beans and stops the roasting process. It only takes about 3 minutes for the coffee to cool down. Then the beans head into the de-stoner.
I'm nervous. This is people's livelihood.
Let's de-stone this coffee. All right.
Like I I said, here at Driven, they like to have fun. This machine makes sure that any imperfect beans are separated from the batch.
These beans, they go pretty far. They travel a long, long ways in here.
It's true, coffee takes quite the journey before pouring into your cup. But we're getting close.
You just roasted coffee!
We roasted coffee. All right, so our beans are roasted. We've got them here. What happens next?
So now with our SWAT Commander beans that we've roasted just now, we're gonna go through our bagging process so we can get our customers what they want. So we'll go through and we'll take a bag at a time, we'll be filling it up, and we wanna make sure that our weight is exactly what we're looking for. So in this case, these are gonna be 12-ounce bags, and as soon as you fill the bag up, you'll go ahead and seal it, and then it's ready to be date stamped and then shipped out.
So I'm walking down the coffee aisle and I see this like little hole in the bag. What is that actually?
Coffee, as soon as it's roasted, it's gonna release all these gases, and so the bag, we don't want it to pop when it's in the grocery store, right? Or in any customer's hands. And so by having a one-way valve, it allows the gases to escape while still keeping the bag sealed.
So I always thought that this was for like smelling coffee.
A sniff hole.
Yeah, a sniff hole. I'm like, like squeezing the bag and trying to get the smells out like when you're buying. So this is just life-changing.
Right, and it works for that too.
Just when you think you've already learned everything about coffee.
All right, Courtney, the coffee's roasted. I think there's only one thing left to do. You down for a cup of coffee?
Always.
Coffee is stellar, but for both operator and Driven, there's a much bigger and much bolder reason to brew.
From the get-go, like Driven had always been wanting to give back and have kind of a greater impact, right? So we've partnered over the years with a few different causes, both local and kind of national or international, to support our communities.
Operator Coffee is not just the coffee, it's the culture that we have around giving back. Those people put themselves first, put others in front of them. Those are operators. Anybody in service, active or veterans, reach out and shake their hand and thank them for being an operator.
If you can't shake their hand, having a cup of operator coffee is a tasty alternative.
Brings people together, gives them just kind of a common comfort point.
And that's one of the great things about it is coffee's very portable. Whether you make it at home before you go out and throw it in a mug and you take it with you, or if you're camping and you bring along, an AeroPress or a pour-over brewer, you can have your coffee with you and you can have it fresh.
There are countless ways to enjoy coffee, but everyone has a favorite.
Personally, I love using my Chemex, which is a pour-over method, so you get a real fancy gooseneck kettle.
My ultimate favorite roast of coffee is one that is roasted, that I didn't have to, and poured into a cup while sitting looking over a lake. Doesn't get much better than that.
There are countless ways to prepare coffee, but I think we can all agree there's no better place to enjoy it than the outdoors.
Made for the Outdoors is brought to you by All Seasons Garage Door, Polaris Industries, Driven Coffee, L&M Fleet Supply, and by Warner's Dog.
If a hardcore fisherman needs hardcore equipment, then Fish Fighter Products in Idaho is where they go. Located an hour south of Boise, Fish Fighter Products designs and manufactures products built for the pursuit of big fish. One of those products is the Relentless Series Sinker Tray. Designed to keep round cannonball sinkers organized and made from aircraft-grade stainless steel. They designed this tray because they found that after a few uses, the numbers on the sinkers would disappear. The tray eliminates the frustration of similar weighted sinkers getting mixed together.
We're all avid outdoorsmen here, so we're always going out and coming up with innovative solutions to everyday problems.
Chris Leichert is the product development engineer at Fish Fighter Products.
We can come up with an idea, get design sketches on the board, solid model it, and typically get a prototype in hand within a day.
He's going to walk us through how the process works to create the tray. It all starts in nesting, where they get the parts prepped.
The scheduling nesting office is the first step of our process. We'll get the orders from sales, schedule them, and get them nested out on different materials for the laser to cut. Next step is the laser. This is where we'll cut everything out and then get ready to move them onto the press brake. Our products then flow to the press brake department to get any forming that may need done. Here we have the final assembly packaging department. This is where we'll assemble any components, package it, and get it ready for shipping.
You know, we do a lot of fishing, and when these cannonball weights are hitting the bottom and bouncing and dinging you, it's hard to see the weight size.
The sinker tray solves that problem.
And with our sinker tray, it's really quick and easy. It doesn't fit, and it falls in the 20-ounce hole, so we know we have a 20-ounce sinker.
As they like to say at Fish Fighter, get organized today so you can start chasing fish and not your gear.
For the Outdoors is brought to you by Polaris Industries, Otter Tail County, Minnesota, and by Pearson's Salted Nut Roll.
Modern bows, high-tech tools that put arrows downrange and on target. Thing is, little upgrades can make a big difference. Exactly why Vapor Trail cannot keep up with demand.
Vapor Trail was founded in 1993 by shooters that were frustrated with inconsistency and common problems that you would have out in the field for bow hunters and target archers. Our shop right now, our headquarters is in Ham Lake, Minnesota.
Rory O'Loughlin runs this bowstring and cable company, a workplace of people passionate about their sport.
I love bow hunting because I got into it as a kid. I grew up in the country and running around the woods with my brothers.
Vapor Trail literally invented limb-driven technology. Their system keeps arrows on the rests longer. The company's newest high-tech offering looks like this, the Gen 7X.
This is our top-of-the-line rest for 2020. Basically, what the arrow rest does is it supports the arrow during the draw cycle and during the shot.
The key to the new rest, as soon as arrows fly,
the support will actually drop away to clear for your vanes, so you have no interference with your vanes.
Vapor Trail now produces the rest as fast as workers can get them out the door. The production process starts with CNC machines over at QDP Technologies. Workers load raw stock aluminum. Router bits quickly cut out individual parts. The whole process happens pretty quickly. Troy Holian then checks initial parts.
We'll check up to 99 dimensions in 3 seconds.
Parts pass quality control and get colored before heading to Vapor Trail's main facility.
So with the Gen 7X, we have 14 different colors in the cage.
Kyle Mornan now loads completed parts into this machine.
All I'm doing is just setting up the etching machine. I can just go ahead, hit go, and it'll start.
We laser etch them here in-house, all of the tick marks and all of the graphics that we have on the rest itself.
At this point, Kyle stages 30 separate parts he will assemble into one unit.
Just going ahead and putting moleskin on the bottom here. I'll go ahead and put the grease in. And I'm just locking down the spring retention. Go ahead and put together the micro adjust main bracket. I'm just checking the spring retention here so that it's actually going to actuate for you. So your windage and your elevation. And we'll go ahead and put the bracket onto the base. I'll just put the cage bolts in. Just add our dome tag.
The arrow rest now sits ready to go into the package.
And our backer card.
The Gen 7X, built out of passion for bow, arrow, and life outdoors.